Hello, boyos. This is the Spoilercast.
This
for Loki.
is the story of a girl.
This is the Spoilercast, where we discuss everything.
Hold on,
Loki.
stop. The DMCA is gonna strike us for that one.
Well, they can suck my bald butt. They
Bald
can suck
butt.
my bald butt. Yeah, I don't know how the fuck we're gonna talk about this episode. It's just it's like straight up a continuation, and like they go through the door and they end up in the TVA, right? And they're fighting in the TVA, and then they get in trouble, and Loki activates like this thing, and he travels to another timeline. Where did he get the thing? Did
What
anybody
thing?
say the little thing that they're trying to fix this whole episode?
Didn't he just have that?
But where? How did he? I don't remember him getting that.
Didn't he just have it? Because he worked for them?
I guess, but why would they give him that?
Or it was the girls, right? That she
As she
collapsed.
dropped it?
Yeah, and like he took it. Yeah,
It could be.
pretty sure. I don't know, man. Like a TV show being a continuation of the previous episode seems like a pretty normal thing to do.
Well, I was just, I don't know, I was just setting that up. But like, I was just setting it up. We continued on, and there was a door, and then they went through it, and I was just kind of refreshing my memory. Don't jump on me like that, man. I'm tired.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, yeah. So then that happens, and then it's just kind of like a journey. It's like the first episode of Rick and Morty, with Rick and Morty being
Sort of.
being Loki and Lady Loki trying to fix their thing because they can't get back to um their time, I suppose. And they end up in this like what was the place called? Lamentus?
Lamentus, yeah.
Lamentus 1, which apparently is a moon that people are living on, and the planet of Lamentus is like crashing into the moon.
Well, I think they live on the planet, but the planet is still gonna crash into the moon.
Is that how it is? Okay. Well, either way, they're on a big orb in space, and another big orb in space is crashing into them, and gonna destroy the whole thing. So they set like a timeline. They have to find like this power source because it loses charge. So they're like, hey, we're on this rock. There's got to be a power source somewhere over here. So then they go and search for a power source. And I actually really like these two together, almost more than I like Owen Wilson and what's his face? I forget the Loki.
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. I almost like them together more so than the other two.
It's interesting you say that, because the entire episode I was like, man, I just wish this was Owen Wilson.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know,
I mean,
man.
so like, hear me out. I really like them together. I actually found the idea of the two of them, like, they're both Lokis, assuming they're both Lokis. And, she goes by Sylvie, I guess. But like,
how do we? That's another thing. When the fuck do we learn that?
what?
That she goes by Sylvie.
She says it in the episode.
When? What?
Like
what?
pretty early on. She says,
she's like, I remember she's
up,
like, don't call me one of those. Don't.
yeah.
I'm not one of those or whatever.
And then she's like, I go by Sylvie. She straight up says it in this show.
No, I must not have caught that.
Yeah.
Must not have caught that. I probably was looking up what Lamentus 1 was.
No, I like them together. Like, I like the idea of them. Like, they have like good chemistry, and like I like the like back and forth where she's more combat and he's more like theatrical and like let's sneak in, and I like that dynamic. And like I like that they're both kind of fucking up constantly. It's not just one Loki or the other. They both kind of are just fucking up constantly. Because like specifically with that one scene with the old lady in the desert, on the moon,
with her push ray or whatever.
Yeah, her like boom boom ray or whatever. But like, yeah, like she tries brute force, and she's like, "Oh, I really like doing that," and he's like, "I like that you did it too," and like that was just like
Yeah,
that was funny.
it was.
I
There was a lot of funny moments in this episode, honestly. Like because they play off of each other so well. I think the actors are just like, they know the roles and they're just like, okay, well, I'm gonna say this, you're gonna say this, and we're gonna do it perfectly. Um, I really oh shit,
You
I
lost light.
lost, I lost. There we go. Um, that was weird. My whole monitor turned off.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So I thought it was really cool. There's a couple of parts that I'm like, did that really happen? Because in this show, a lot of the times I feel like I'm questioning everything because it's Loki, and it's like, okay, where's he's got Mr. X, but what is he actually doing? What is he
Right.
actually trying to do? And I feel like they show it, but then again, it's not clear enough to be like, oh, that's what the misdirect was. Like for instance, in this one he's she falls asleep and it cuts to black, and then she wakes up and he is dancing in the train,
He's partying. Yeah,
like yeah, he's just partying with everybody because apparently he's drunk.
he's full.
But yeah, and it's just like,
I'm gonna use that forever now too.
yeah,
I'm full.
he's really really full.
How you feel?
um
How you feel? Are you okay to drive? No, I'm a little too full right now.
I'm a little full.
A little
I'm
too
a little
full.
full. I shouldn't drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at that point, I'm like, something happened. Something within that blackness had to have happened because there's no way that he was just drinking so much that he just started dancing with everybody, and everybody knows the lines of the songs, and they're just kind of letting him do this.
Well, my thought process was that, you know, so I have a couple thoughts with the whole misdirection, like you're saying. I have a few different theories in my head, right? One of my theories is, she fell asleep and he's just a fucking Asgardian, and that's what they do. I mean, because like he straight up references like, uh, I think it's the first Thor movie where Thor gets like a coffee with Jane, and he's like another, and like throws the coffee on the ground, and he does
Right.
that, and like it just seems like Asgardians just get drunk and party, like Thor downs a beer like quickly, and they're on this mission, they're probably gonna die, and he's like, I'm gonna get drunk, fuck it. But then there's also this theory in my head where I'm like, I don't know if any of this is real,
Yeah.
because at the beginning of the fucking episode, right, we see her hanging out with what's her butt, having drinks or whatever,
Yeah.
and then it turns out like she's actually doing some sort of mind manipulation. And my thought is like, maybe she's doing that to Loki right now, but while they're doing that in the brain, he's so fucking good that he's fucking with her inside of his own
Within
brain, because like
within
the fact that he had like the broken thing and like he ended up breaking it, it just all seems a little too convenient. And
Right,
like,
and then he gets thrown out of the thing like
right,
super easily. It's like it looked like he kind of wanted to be thrown out of it.
yeah,
Like, yeah, that's a great theory because I could see that because like he's like
like they're
starts a fight
both
and he,
fucking with each other because they're both
hmm,
Loki.
right. Yeah, I could
um
see that.
but like I liked this episode a lot. This was sort of a self-contained episode where it's like its own adventure, but
Hmm.
like I liked it a lot because it really introduced this character who we haven't seen. The show's halfway over, so we really needed a full episode just to introduce ourselves to this character and also set up what's going to happen in the future, because she drops some pretty heavy shit, like the fact that everyone at the TVA is, or TBA or whatever the fuck they're called, everyone there is a variant, right?
Yeah.
And I called that from the beginning.
Yeah, I knew that for sure.
Yeah, I called that from
The
the beginning.
fact is that they don't remember is kind of like, ooh, so somebody out there is pulling the strings and this is an illusion
She
of some
also
sort.
she also said this is years in the making. So like she may have been one of them, and had broken free. They may all be Lokis for all we fucking know, right? And like, will Owen Wilson get his water jet moment?
Yes.
That's the real
Yes, he
question.
will.
He absolutely
Yes, he will. He'll get on a jet ski for sure.
But like, yeah, and she drops more things, just like finding out like sort of the differences between the two of them. She never really fully reveals anything about herself. But like, he mentions like, "Oh, I was adopted." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I knew that." And he's like, "You knew that?" And I thought that was just sort of a funny little back and forth, which also proves to me that she is a Loki for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. Like it was just a cool episode. I liked it a lot. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills every time I read the reviews online and people are like, "I didn't like this episode." I'm like, "What? I thought this episode was great."
Yeah, it was super good. It was different. It's so different and interesting.
I will Go
I
ahead.
feel like when I finish this, I'm going to rewatch it. I don't do that. I don't rewatch TV shows, but I feel like as soon as it finishes, if it finishes well, then I'm gonna be like, okay, now what the hell? Knowing what I know, what the hell is going on now?
Rusty's back in the comments.
Is he?
Owen Wilson is greatest actor of all time.
I
Correct.
don't know.
Oh wow, isn't he just amazing? Wow,
Oh,
he's just
he's the best.
fabulous. Wow.
He's the best car of all time.
That Hansel, he's so hot right now.
Yeah.
He wasn't even in this episode, so
No. No,
I
he wasn't.
I wonder. Okay, first of all, what I was gonna say was like, I did have some issues with this episode as far as like visually. Like some of the visuals were fucking top notch and really cool. Some of them are like, ooh, that's kind of ugly. And like it goes back to that first episode where I'm like, when they were standing in the giant thing,
Mhm.
like the green screen was ugly. I felt that in this episode too, where I'm like, when they were standing in like the vast purple world, it was kind of like ugly and gross looking. But like when they got to the main city area, I thought that looked pretty cool.
So the main city was like the first instinct that I had with the main city was like it was Toontown from Disneyland's Toontown, but a bunch of neon. Like it was kind of like Blade Runner cross Toontown because you have all these funky shapes and stuff. It was very cool, but it felt cartoony to me, and all the characters felt really cartoony, like the background characters, all their like suits were just kind of goofy and
Yeah,
like
but it's like 2077 space, and it's
yeah,
Marvel, and
but like okay, the world's breaking down and these guys are like in a shop and they're just trying to run away and then these guards come out of nowhere and just start beating them up and
Isn't
it's like
that weird? Yeah,
why are
would
these guys
they
beating them up? Like
why would they even be chasing them? It's like, dude, you're gonna die. Like, yeah, I did have that thought as well. Like, what? Why even? But I can't tell if it's because they just wanted action in this episode, or if it's because of my theory where, they're not
It's not-
actually
it's
there,
not real.
you know? And like, I feel like in the next episode, they're going to tell us a lot of shit in the next episode for sure.
I mean, I would hope so.
There's only 3 left.
They really haven't told us much. There's only 3 left. This is a 6th episode. I thought it was 8.
6.
Wow. They haven't told us much. They just keep like giving us
Little,
like a little nugget and then more questions. Like a little something and more questions. So it's like, okay.
I feel like this is all stuff that can be answered relatively quickly though. So like I feel like the way it's unraveling is totally fine with me. Like
right.
And like my theory as well for what's happening and why like Lady Loki or Sylvie, the city was so cool. I agree, mischievous vixen. But like the reason I think that they're doing or what she's doing, I can't speak. The reason she's doing what she's doing is because maybe she believes that there should be a multiverse. Because ultimately, isn't what the TVA is doing just going in and massacring a full universe? Isn't that what they're doing? So maybe her thought process is like, no, there should be a multiverse. Just full on Like, let there be a multiverse. Let it happen. Like, that's the way it should be. And
Right.
I feel like that's where it's headed. Is the end of this season is going to be like, yep, multiverse is a go. Everything goes. It also makes a lot of sense for Marvel now that we're like, 15 years in and like, or like 13 years in or whatever, and like 26 movies in. It's like harder and harder to keep the cast around. Now it's like, well, we've got like Ultimate Universe Spider-Man here now, and like we can recast Tony Stark now because it's it's the ultimate dimension now, and it's different, and you can bring him to this dimension because you could just it makes things a lot easier for them if they just open up the multiverse and let it go ham.
It's future proofing,
right?
It's kind of like what Logan did for X-Men. If they continue,
and then they
on
didn't
with it.
take advantage of it. Those weirdos.
Well, they still might though.
No.
You don't think so?
No. The Fox universe is dead.
No.
Yeah, that's.
I guess that's true because it's sold to Disney.
It's dead. But with the multiple timelines, we may see some of them come back. Like, hey, the Fox universe does exist within the MCU. It's just a different dimension, right? And that may be how they introduce Deadpool as well, because that's already confirmed. So
is it?
Yeah. Deadpool 3 is in production right now.
Oh, well, Deadpool 3 is in production, but does it have anything to do with the MCU?
They haven't really said.
Oh, okay. See, I think that's just going to be its own thing for a while.
Sure.
But it would be really fucking great if we got a Deadpool Spider-Man combo.
But like like Deadpool's so self-aware that they're going to make references to it in it anyway,
Right. Yeah. He's going to be like, timeline shifting, what?
Yeah.
Like, I used to work for the TVA,
Or he's going to be like, hey, I thought we were a Fox movie or something,
Yeah.
But I liked all the scenes between them. Like, I really liked the scene where they were like just chit-chatting.
Yeah, chit-chatting on the train, for sure.
And there's also like a sort of weird like sexual tension between them, I think, which is weird because they're like the same person. And it's like, dude, what are the implications of that? But like, yeah,
wouldn't you? Like,
yeah, sort of. But is that like incestuous? I don't.
Is it?
I don't know. It's kind
just
of
yourself.
Weird. It's kind of weird. Yourself. Is it just jerking off? What if you impregnated yourself? What would that mean? Fuck. What would that mean?
I don't think that could happen.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's these are the questions that will never get answered by Marvel either. I did appreciate that they're both bi. God bless.
I don't understand why that's a thing. I saw this on Twitter. The director of the series is like, blah blah blah. Loki's bi, and I think that's really important to his characters. And I wanted to like put that out there. But for me, it's always like, why is that unnecessary? Like in this story, why is that a necessity to have a sexuality?
Why is it a necessity that Steve Rogers has Peggy Carter? I mean, like, why is it a necessity that it moves Tony Stark is a womanizer? Why is it a necessity that we know Falcon probably fucks?
But that's what I'm saying though. Like,
Clint has a wife and kids. It's important to his character just to know like this guy fucks everyone, dude. Like, and he just does whatever. That's who he is. It's cool.
But like Tony Stark's a womanizer. That is part of his character. That is who he's built on. Whereas Loki, I feel like he's Loki for now. Like he's Loki and he's always been Loki. And then it's just like, and by the way, he's bi, just haphazardly just saying like, he has sex with men and women. And it's like, that's cool. But like, I don't feel like it does anything with the story. Like is it really necessary to railroad a character into...
Railroad a character? There's always fucking scenes in movies where it's like, oh, you have a girl back at home, and it's like, no, and it's not a big deal. And that's the same with this. They didn't even make it a big deal. He's just like, yeah, I go both ways. Right. I suspect you do too. And it wasn't even like a huge deal. And that's the point. He's a bi character. Just like if you had a gay character, you'd probably mention it. You know, like
because it would be part of the character, like it would be part of the story to move forward, and it's connecting to that character. But the
why
when
is
I
Bai
first
not being connected to the character?
no, in this situation it is. I'm just saying I saw on Twitter that it's like, hey, and I made Loki bi. The
Well, it's
director's
important because they were talking to each other because they're flirting and shit. And she's like, "Yo, you want to fuck or what?" And he's like, "I fuck both ways, dude." Like, I don't understand. I don't get what the issue is here.
there's no issue. I'm just saying I just didn't understand why it needed to be, expressed as like a big deal because it really isn't a big
Because
deal.
bi representation is not a thing in media ever. That's why.
I guess it's represented in history books,
Sure.
but
Yeah, for sure.
but
We're all
yeah,
bi. I mean, let's face it.
yeah. If there's a dude hot enough, I'd fuck him. Um, I get why Nick thinks it shouldn't be a big deal, but that's the point. But it should be mentioned and also not big perceived as a big deal. It's just more clarification on his backstory.
Right. Yeah.
Sexuality is important, especially when it comes to the god of mischief.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm saying. Maybe I'm coming off a little aggressive, but like
you're always coming off.
I know that's
aggressive.
kind of my thing, and I apologize if that's the case.
I think in the show they did it really well because it
Right.
was just like
Maybe you should have prefaced with that.
right. I should have. You're right. You're absolutely right. But what was I saying? You got like Roman gods, and the Roman gods were all crazy. You think of Zeus, and Zeus like was like pansexual or whatever the fuck he was. Like he just did everything. So you look at like Loki and Thor and stuff, and it's like they're fucking like Roman gods. I'm sure they don't give a shit. They're pretty much aliens. So what does it really matter?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, but I think that's the point of like mentioning that he's bi, and the point of being like, I suspect you are too. Who gives a fuck? Is like important to his character. He doesn't give a fuck about that, and nor should anyone else. And that's kind of the point, like why even care? And that would be an important character trait. And I don't know.
I don't see. I don't see as important unless it has something to do with the story. At least unless it has a spot in the story. Like if you're just like, this is a story about cars and the driver's gay. It's like, who cares? Why? What does that have to do with anything? Like this is a story about cars. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm not explaining it very well. But
I don't know. Like people, I don't know. Like sometimes in movies, I don't know. Like you see a character brushing his teeth, and you're like, why even show that they brush their teeth? Like that's not even important to the story.
Yeah,
it's a character element.
Situation.
Yeah, it's just a character element. It's a character descriptor. Same as like
I brush my teeth too.
Yeah.
Me and this character are the same person. I get it. I get it, but it's just I really didn't want to make a big deal about it, and we made a big deal about it. And that's exactly my point, is like, why the fuck are we making a big deal about it? But it's
I just said it was cool, man.
It is cool. I'm totally for it, and they did a good job.
He's a gay icon. God bless him.
Anyway, let's get back to the actual show after that huge fucking tangent.
I'm sorry. I came off heavy.
So at the end, what do you think? What the fuck is going to be the next episode?
Okay. I don't know. I think the next episode we're probably gonna either find out that she's in his brain. I really like the way it ended with her walking off into the crowd. Like she's just like, fuck, and she just walked away. Like I like that.
Do you think they actually die? Like it seems to me like
they could just kill him, and like then the show just starts over.
Like I don't know what that what that would be like if a variant dies outside of his timeline, right? Would it be like
The whole thing is
nor
confusing because there has to be branching timelines, unless the TVA is straight up just massacring entire timelines. Um, because if they're all variants, then that would create branches, right? And we've
right?
seen like hundreds of these dudes in
Oh
that.
yeah,
They've got a whole civilization there of different variants, and the fact that Loki is still gone from his timeline, doesn't that mean that
there's another
there's
timeline.
a
Yeah,
splitting off timeline from his
so
universe?
they killed that whole timeline
Right.
forward, so he just doesn't.
And I don't know, it's all a bit confusing. But
But
like I think that happens when you deal with
time,
multiverses and time travel, because this is not just a multiverse. This is
right,
also time travel.
right. So it's like time travel is already confusing, and if you watch anything about time travel, like I'm gonna bring it back to Harry Potter again, but the third Harry Potter movie where she's got like the little time necklace thing, it's like, wait, what the fuck happened? How did this? So this has been going on forever. Like it's literally just continuing over and over again. Um, and it just doesn't make sense once you think about it. I think it's going to be the same sort of situation, but then you also have the layer of multiverse as well. So it's like just super confusion on top of confusion, you know? Um, but what I think is going to happen in the next episode is I think the TVA are going to find him and pull him back. Maybe not Sylvie. Was that her name? So what they
Yeah.
call her, Sylvie,
Yeah.
but maybe just Loki, and they'll be like, well, she's dead anyway, and then it'll pop back up that she's not actually dead, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to make predictions because I have no fucking clue. Like, like if her whole goal is what I was saying, where she like wants there to be a multiverse, like, could we see Steve Rogers? Because that's something Steve Rogers could get behind too, where he's like, and she's like, hey, don't put those back because I think maybe we should have these altering timelines, huh? You know what I mean?
I guess. I
And
don't
then
know.
that would also explain how Steve Rogers became an old man with Peggy Carter's. Because, like, wouldn't that create a branching timeline?
It would.
And that's never explained either. And that has
But
to be explained at some
see,
point.
but then that's the TVA going, okay, we're following Steve Rogers' new timeline, and we're just cutting bits out of the main timeline and moving them around. You know,
Can they do that?
I don't
Is
know.
that what they do?
No, I don't think this whole thing is even real. I think it's something else. I think it's like a trap built for Loki or something, and it's just going to be all a dream or whatever. Not necessarily a dream. It could be an illusion or something. And then it'll end with like a big bad looking at Loki going, how the fuck was that? And Loki going, what the fuck did you do to me? And he's like, do you want to know more? And Loki's like, yeah, I want to know more. You know, um, it could all be in his head. Who knows? Like it doesn't necessarily even have to be um a thing. Like it could just have started and ended, and then this is just extra that we're seeing.
It's just
Yeah, I don't
extra.
know. It's just
Yeah.
extra. It's
Like
just
maybe
like,
this is a side tangent. And then, like, at the end, he just goes right back to where he was. I suspect that's how the show will end. And he'll have to, like, live his whole life. And the Loki we knew was that Loki the whole time. I don't know, man.
and then
There's
he dies.
and then
He just
he's
knows he
like that's
died.
the
There's
way it
no,
was meant to
there's
be.
no way that
I
would
don't know,
happen
man.
because
It's
like
so
you see your
confusing.
death and he'd be like, okay, well I'm prepared for this, and then he kills the end game timeline because he's prepared for Thanos coming around, and he's just like, no, I'm gonna stab you in the back instead, and he kills Thanos instead of Thor killing Thanos.
You think he's gonna like change that? I don't know.
Maybe it's
it's
so
it's
confusing.
all so confusing, and like I feel like even if they could explain it, it's still gonna be like what, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I have no fucking clue. This show's hard to really
The show,
understand.
the show is
And
hard.
you know, Rick and Morty, right? Like Rick and Morty does the whole dimensional travel thing, and
Hmm.
Dan Harmon has like talked about it. He's like, you know, we did dimensional travel. You know, it's a spoof on um, Back to the Future, right? But like, we didn't want to do time travel because time travel is so confusing.
Right.
And they decided to go with time travel. I feel like it would have been a lot better if they had not even fucked with time travel and it was all just a bunch of different dimensions, but they're all moving at the same pace of time. You know what I mean? Like Rick and
Hmm.
Morty. Um,
Right.
but the time travel bit, but they introduced time travel in Endgame. So
In
like,
Endgame. Yeah.
yeah, and it's never not going to be confusing, even though they're like the timelines, but then they've really mucked it up with this show where it's like, well, there's a sacred timeline, but
So
it's
all of these points that they keep getting to, all of these disasters and Armageddons that they keep getting at, you think each one of these like disasters
rusty.
is on the sacred timeline?
Rusty.
What about Brittany? Is she truly been under conservat conservatorship, or is she a variant?
I think there's probably a variant of Britney. Yeah. And here's the real question, Nick. Are we part of the MCU?
Yes, we
Technically,
are.
yeah.
Technically, we are.
Yeah.
I don't remember how, but yes.
I don't know, man.
Um, well, back to what I was saying, like, are all of these events that we're seeing on the sacred timeline, are they happening in just different times on this timeline? Or are they like a different dimension, like a different timeline, a different,
I,
like in the sacred
I
timeline,
want
does
to
this
insert that meme of the kid that's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
um yeah, like I don't know. There's so many questions, and I don't think they're gonna answer them in three
No.
more episodes.
But it does seem like this is setting up like the future of the MCU, where like the whole future of the MCU is gonna be this confusing fucking time shit and dimensional. Maybe not time. I think they're gonna stop fucking with time real quick. But like
Oh yeah.
the fucking with dimensions, I think is gonna get weird. I think they're
Well,
fucking with time in this show just so they can set up the different dimensions. And then they're like, let's never touch time again, and we can just have different dimensions from now on. I hope
right,
that's what they do, honestly, because time is too confusing.
right. Because they kind of set up dimensions, um, kind of haphazardly with Mysterio, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Earth 343 or whatever,"
Yeah,
you
but he
know.
wasn't really. He was lying.
But he wasn't really. But it's also like,
I swear that was to put it.
hmm,
I swear that was for them to put it in the trailer and to put that idea in everyone's mind. So then when it happened, everyone's like, "Oh, okay." You know, I think it was
yeah.
like to like brace for impact. You know, yeah. There's
But
3 more episodes. Restolium
yeah,
one.
yeah, you gotta watch it, dude.
You
You
should
won't
watch it.
you won't understand a single thing that happens.
We have a hard time, it seems. It's
But
pretty good though. Like I've enjoyed. I feel like Tom Hiddleston's really bringing it, but also that's another thing is like just a week prior he was doing the Avengers shit, where he's like big evil man and he's like got all of Earth like under his wing, where he's got all those people like bowing to him and stuff, and now he's like, oh god, this whole planet's gonna die, and it's like you don't care about that, Loki. What are you talking
well,
about? Like you're like his character is very confusing to me.
But
Just because
I
he
think
saw that like highlight reel of himself dying, like
I think
it's.
that's what it is.
But you think
I
that's enough to like change a man that just a week ago was like trying to take over Earth?
Could you imagine like knowing exactly how your life is going to turn out and being like, I can change it if I change my attitude sooner? Or um like if you watch your life and something terrible happens, it's like, well, that sucks. I feel like you would kind of live through that in that moment of you watching the future. You know?
I
Like if you
guess, but
got like
like,
if you watched yourself get into a car crash and you relived it, I feel like you would feel all of that stuff leading up to that, even though you're not technically sitting there, you're just watching yourself, you know?
yeah, I don't know. It's all confusing because I would almost feel like watching someone else, right? Because like you're like, well, now that's not going to happen to me because I'm a variant, and so it's almost like seeing someone completely different. Just like how Sylvie is a variant of Loki, right? But at the same time, it's like she had different parents and she's like lived a different life. And it's like, it's almost
Right.
like she's not even a variant and just a completely different human. And,
Right. And there's
or
like the whole
not human,
Hulk
frost
Loki or whatever that we
giant or
saw.
whatever.
Yeah. There's that
Yeah.
whole Hulk Loki that we saw on the like Palm Pilot
Right. And it's
thing,
like,
and it's like that's something's different there, you know?
I have one more theory.
Uh-huh.
What if Sylvie is actually Loki's and Thor's mom, but like younger? Because, and the only reason I say that is because there are several times they mention the mom a lot, and
Yeah.
like, you know, he talks about like his mom was
That's a
great,
good
and she
theory.
kind of has like this like face of like sadness and like, you know. And he also talks about like how Sylvie does like witchcraft very well, and he's like, you taught yourself that, and like it's almost like maybe she's not Loki, but she's
She's
actually his mom. And if like time travel's a thing, um, it could be her,
it could
like a
be,
younger version
and
of
like
her,
she
and she
just
would
doesn't
have the
know.
Loki horns because that comes from Asgard. And
But she is, and she doesn't know like the magic that she taught him because she's not old enough yet to know that magic. Because she doesn't know like his all like magician hide the shit, make fireworks or whatnot. And then also speaking on
I
that,
mean, maybe
what
she
the f-
does. I don't know.
there's a point where those buildings coming down right on top of
Oh
them,
yeah, and
right?
Loki just like,
And Loki just kind of like stops, and then the building goes right back to where it goes, and then he like continues. So what the fuck is that? His That's not one of his powers.
I guess it is. I guess it is. I guess he has force push now.
But
But then
like
like, why didn't you just like leap over everyone, you know, to get to the ship
right.
instead of
It's
running
so
through them? Like it's
it's
very
so
confusing.
comically awkward. It really is. It's like maybe it's not he's not actually doing that. That maybe that's one of the reasons that we can tell it's like an illusion or whatnot. Is because like that would never happen and he was just so in the moment that he didn't think about it. Or maybe she didn't think about it, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, like they had. So they're like, we have 12 hours, and they're like, okay, let's like lightly walk. Let's have a brisk walk there. Uh, but you'd think they'd have like more of a plan because like they're like, we have 12 hours to get there, and then they get there, and it like everything explodes in like 5 minutes, and
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like you'd have a bit more of a plan. You could have like
especially if
talked it out a little.
you're walking 12 hours.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Like great. We're on this train for like 10 hours and then we're walking for 2 hours. Why did he care about the people dying on the planet in the city, but not the people trying to get onto the train? Yeah,
Right? Yeah, it's very strange. It's a
very
very
weird.
and they also he already knew that they were all going to die anyway, right?
Right.
And that idea is kind of like terrifying, like that whole thing where it's like there's a ship there and like half of these people are going to get out and these other people are watching them get away, but then all of these people that are watching them get away like watch it explode and then
Right.
they're dying too. It's kind of like a terrifying thought when you think about
Oh,
it.
it's so terrifying because
Yeah.
like if they got away, at least your like race survives, your species survives, not race. At least your species survives. But like it doesn't, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, what the fuck, you know? Yeah, that is a terrifying,
Yeah.
deep
I
thought.
don't know
But
why he cared about. That's what I was saying too. I was like, why? Like that, and also, why would he even care about these people when just a week ago he was trying to take over Earth and was trying to kill everyone on Earth? It's
well,
just a very confusing character thing.
that too. But also when he's like at Mount Vesuvius or whatever
Mount
in
Vesuvius.
Pompeii, the Pompeii
Yeah, yeah.
explosion.
He
He's
doesn't
just
give a
like,
shit.
"Oh, you're all gonna die, ha ha ha! It doesn't matter." And then this is like, he's like, "They won't let these people on." It's like they're dead anyway, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
like that thing's about to explode anyway. But maybe the idea was maybe the reason he had that thought process was because before he didn't know he was going to create a new timeline. And now he is creating a new timeline by taking that ship. So like some of these people may actually survive because they're
oh,
kind of splitting off into a new timeline. So maybe that was his thought process. Um,
maybe.
I don't know.
That's a cool idea too, because like if he did save the people at Pompeii, you know, if they brought a spaceship, loaded them up, and then took them off, you know, what the hell kind of implications is that?
Right. Yeah. I think
Crazy.
you would still not want to create timelines, but if new timelines were created, you wouldn't want to end those timelines.
Right.
So like, I don't know. I'm so confused. Like, what is this show even about? I don't even know.
It's about who the timekeepers are and why we're trying to figure out who they are.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's the biggest question. Like who are these? What are these timekeepers? I guarantee you they're not three guys who dictate a timeline. They're probably a big bad or a big good who is just doing crazy things that nobody's really noticed and getting away with it. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see next week.
Yeah. You got anything else?
We've been going for a while. I think
Yeah.
we about covered it.
I think so. We don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. Neither does
But
Loki, apparently.
it was fun. We
You'd
went
think
on
he'd
so
ask more
many.
questions, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because she obviously knows what's going on, but
Yeah.
he's like, "How do you do your magic?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna tell you."
Yeah, that
And
wouldn't
you're
be
like,
my
"Okay,
first
cool."
question. My first
No.
question would be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing Liam could have been Thor, what part of Thor's character would have changed? Who's a Liam? Liam Neeson?
Liam Hemsworth.
Oh.
Uh uh Liam Hemsworth? Do you mean Chris Hemsworth? Because Chris cuz knowing Liam could have been Thor. Did Liam also audition for Thor? Is that what you're telling me right now? Liam Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's brother, auditioned for Thor as well? It's kind of a fucked up thing to do, really. It's not very nice.
I don't even know who Liam Hemsworth is.
He is Chris Hemsworth's brother. He
Right.
he
What if
dated Miley
shows
Cyrus for he actually married Miley Cyrus for a bit.
what if
And he
he
was in the
shows
Hunger
up in
Games.
this? What if he shows up in this as Thor?
And we get Luke Wilson. Oh, can I what if Mobius now hear me out. So Mobius has that little mustache thing, right?
Right.
What if he's Howard Stark? like a variant of Howard Stark.
Oh.
Just saying, just throwing it out there. I doubt he is. Just be weird if he was.
I
Right?
mean, anybody can be anything in this, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that little Mexican guy who's got all of the all of the Infinity Stones, and they're like, yeah, they just keep bringing him over. What if he's like Captain America variant? You
yeah.
know?
Well, and I also get like I've been feeling this way pretty much since WandaVision, but like honestly before WandaVision, some of the movies too, where it's like their powers are whatever the writer wants them to be. And
Yeah.
it's kind of lame. Like even this with Loki where it's like I can just force push now.
I
And
don't know
it's
what
like
that was. I don't know what that was. It didn't look like he was pushing it. It just looked like he went, huh, and stopped it, and then it
well
just kind of went, eh,
well cuz he's
you
like
know?
I've got this and he like force pushed it. It was weird. And it's like like any character can just like have any superpower that's convenient to the story at that moment. And like I feel like giving Spider-Man the iron suit just kind of is like, well, he can just do whatever now
He
that's
can do whatever.
convenient to the story or that looks cool. Iron Man is like now he's got the nanobots so he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah,
And like
that's probably the worst part of Iron Man is the fact that he has like these nanobots that are his suit,
it was
and he can,
cool, but then it is like you kind of peaked at that point. There's nowhere to go
yeah,
from there.
yeah,
Um, and you know, and that's why like Thor is cool because Thor just like has a hammer and lightning, you know, and like you get that, like that's a power you get. But then Wanda, it's like she can do whatever she wants, I
hmm,
guess. I don't
yeah.
know. Doctor Strange too. He can just kind of do what he wants. I don't know. That's just sort of a side tangent, I guess.
Liam's Liam's brother auditioned for Thor. He's married to that beautiful actress. Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Rusty.
uh,
Um, yeah. So that's it. That's all we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna end it there. I need to go to sleep.